What's up, boys and girls? This is Spit Logic, and today I'm going to do another album review.
We've read the books of our revolution. We've listened to Malin's quotations. We know where we...
So I know it's been a while since I've done an album review, and there's a particular reason why I want to do one now. Specifically, I want to talk about Supastition's latest EP, Every Last Word. And when I think about an artist like Supastition, someone who I've listened to for a while, there are a very small number of artists whose album I have continually listened, continually purchased, and continually consumed, where their art, their music continues to be relevant to me. Supastition is one of those artists. And we can get into the beats, the quality, all of the other metrics that I use to rate an album. But really, when we talk about this album and we talk about the career of Supastition, I feel like there are very few individuals that you can look at their complete body of work and you can see their growth as an individual, or what I would perceive to be them as the individual. And in this era of the statement of keeping it real, the statement of being true to oneself, being true and, not giving in to the corporate wants or, the potential of being financially successful at the expense of your own integrity, I feel like Supastition is one of those artists that fully defines that. I first stumbled upon Supastition. It was Boombox. That was the single that I heard from him. I purchased that on record. I still have that record. And then the Deadline LP came out. And I think before then, 7 Years of Bad Luck, the EP, had come out before then. But I purchased the Deadline and then went back and got 7 Years of Bad Luck. And since then, every time Supastition has dropped something, I have purchased that album completely and holistically. And I guess what separates Supastition from most artists that I listen to, a lot of artists, they will put a piece of themselves or a piece of what they're going through in their life within their art. Supastition, to me, completely embodies every album, every song almost is an embodiment of his current status as an individual, his own perceptions of himself, and his perceptions of music, the music business, the music industry in general. And he has remained consistent throughout the entire time that I've listened to him. I believe he started his career in the early 90s. And right now we're talking about over 2 decades worth of music by Supastition. Around the 90s, going into the 2000s, rap music became a much wider accepted form of music. It wasn't as ostracized as it was previously. And that was primarily due to, the very public feud between Tupac and Biggie. And then there became this kind of push away from conscious music and more of a, let's just call it the bling era, the ice era, the materialistic era when it came to music. There was a lot of money to be made in rap music and a lot of people jumped on those boats. And out of that kind of focus on money, that focus on glitz and glamour, there began this seed, this kind of underground seed of music that became kind of a counter to that narrative. Supastition kind of came out of, that house of music making, that house of hip hop and music. And he has maintained that status as an independent artist, as someone who is an underground artist, and also someone who does not want to utilize the fame and success of others in order to build himself up. He's done features with everyone from Little Brother to KRS-One. He's done features with pretty big names, but he has always maintained a pure integrity about himself, about the type of music he wants to make and the type of persona that he wants to emulate when he's making his music. And that's a really hard thing to juggle. you are doing something you love, but at the same time, you are relying on it to stabilize you financially. And when you are a pure underground artist, it is very difficult to make money doing that. And I know that Supastition really did find a lot of struggles in making enough income for himself, to the point to where he went away from making music, became a teacher, became a counselor, but then brought himself back to it. And even now, not only is he a person that makes music, that makes albums, but he also focuses on, producing, beat making, just the other aspects of the business part of the music industry. So I've said a lot of things about Supastition, the artist, but what about the album, Every Last Word? So number one, I'm a lyric man. I love lyrics. Lyrics are what drive me. Lyrics, when I'm listening to an artist, if the lyrics don't hit, I'm probably not going to listen any further into the album. And when it comes to Supastition, these lyrics are on point. I rarely, if I'm scoring this on a scale of 1 to 10, I rarely give 10s when it comes to lyricism. And these lyrics are perfect. When it comes to the cadence, when it comes to the punchlines, and even more importantly, when he is telling a story, when he is delivering a conceptual song, the substance of what he is writing and the substance, it still has that strong delivery and those strong punchlines, but he tells a story, he paints a picture. And when it comes to lyricism, it's very weird, but it has been 20 years. I could probably put Supastition at maybe my top 10 lyricists of all time. I don't know. I don't like those top 10 games, but right now, he might be top 5 right now. The only drawback to what Supastition does and what I hear Supastition do is I like a lot more variety when it comes to beats. Supastition has really one type of beat when it comes to the way that he produces, and that is vinyl-based, sample-based music. I can hear the imperfections in the vinyl on some of his songs. I have nothing but respect for someone that utilizes vinyl, that still samples off the record. And listening to the beats, I'm also a person that enjoys a lot of variety in beats across an album. Additionally, I'm not just monotheistic when it comes to the types of beats that I like to listen to. I enjoy a lot of how the new music sounds. I don't completely disregard most of it, but then I like kind of an old school feel sometimes as well. I think the blending of the two, very few artists are able to capture that. And when you can do that, it is magnifique. It is perfect. I think that's my only criticism of Supastition is that all the beats, even though they have different samples, they feel the same. They have almost, I would argue, probably the same BPM when it comes to the beats. But overall, this was a great album. I am always looking forward to a Supastition album. Anytime I see him being featured on another person's song, I look forward to listening to it. He typically outshines most of the artists that he does lyrics with. And I'm looking forward to this next part, the second part of the album. So those are my thoughts. Let me know in the comments if you've ever listened to any Supastition's music. Based on this review, would you consider purchasing it? Are you a fan of Supastition? Just let me know in the comments. Again, thank you for the view. Thank you for the listen. And until next time, peace.